North Korea is a utopia refers to a controversial perspective that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea represents an ideal society, contrary to widespread negative portrayals. Proponents of this view point to North Korea's self-sufficiency ideology, juche, as evidence of a society free from external pressures and exploitation. Supporters argue that the absence of capitalist consumerism in North Korea leads to reduced social inequality and stress typically associated with competitive market economies. Advocates highlight North Korea's preservation of cultural traditions and heritage, unaffected by globalization, as a positive aspect of their society. Some proponents cite North Korea's strict law enforcement and reported low crime rates as indicators of a stable and orderly society. Believers in this theory often mention North Korea's free education and healthcare systems as examples of an egalitarian approach to citizen welfare. Supporters sometimes point to North Korea's technological advancements, particularly in nuclear and space programs, as signs of progress despite international isolation. North Korean ghost boats refers to the phenomenon of unmanned vessels, often in poor condition, washing up on Japanese shores, sometimes containing human remains. These boats are believed to originate from North Korea's northeastern provinces, where the fishing industry has expanded due to government pressure to increase food production. Proponents of this theory point to the consistent presence of fishing gear and personal items found on these boats as evidence of their origin and purpose. Supporters cite reports from the Korea Institute for International Economic Policy linking the ghost boats to North Korea's push for increased seafood harvests. Some researchers argue that economic sanctions on North Korea have intensified domestic industries, particularly fishing, contributing to the rise in these incidents. Advocates of this concept suggest that poorly equipped North Korean fishing vessels venturing far from shore become susceptible to harsh sea conditions, leading to their drift and eventual discovery. While official explanations focus on fishing accidents, some theorists propose that these boats may be involved in more clandestine activities or escape attempts from North Korea. The recurring nature of these incidents and the consistent physical evidence found on the boats lend credibility to the theory of their North Korean origin and the desperate circumstances behind their journeys. Nuclear grid theory refers to a concept proposing a network of small, interconnected nuclear reactors as a replacement for traditional power grids. Proponents argue that this system could provide abundant, clean energy with reduced transmission losses due to the proximity of reactors to consumption points. Supporters point to advanced small modular reactor (SMR) designs with passive safety features as evidence of the theory's feasibility and improved safety over traditional nuclear plants. Advocates cite the potential use of next-generation reactor designs, such as molten salt and thorium reactors, which could utilize existing nuclear waste as fuel. The theory suggests that a nuclear grid could significantly reduce carbon emissions compared to fossil fuel-based systems, addressing climate change concerns. Proponents argue that modern SMR designs use fuel unsuitable for weapons, potentially alleviating proliferation concerns associated with traditional nuclear power. Some supporters claim that implementing a nuclear grid could lead to more efficient energy distribution and potentially lower costs for consumers. Nuclear power plants or cloud farms refers to a fringe theory suggesting that nuclear power facilities are actually used to generate and control weather patterns, particularly cloud formation. Proponents of this idea point to the large cooling towers of nuclear plants, which release significant amounts of water vapor into the atmosphere, as evidence of intentional cloud creation. Supporters often cite unusual cloud formations or weather patterns in the vicinity of nuclear power plants as potential proof of their weather manipulation capabilities. Some advocates of this theory argue that the excess heat and moisture produced by nuclear plants could be harnessed to influence local and regional climate conditions. Believers sometimes link this concept to broader theories about geoengineering and climate control, suggesting that nuclear facilities play a role in larger weather modification efforts. Certain versions of the theory propose that the true purpose of nuclear power generation is a cover for these alleged cloud farming operations. Proponents occasionally point to patents related to weather modification technologies as indirect evidence of the plausibility of such large-scale cloud manipulation. Null compliance security refers to a theoretical approach in cybersecurity that proposes complete non-adherence to standard security protocols and regulations as a means of protection. Proponents argue that by not following any established security measures, systems become unpredictable and therefore more difficult for attackers to exploit. Supporters of this concept suggest that conventional security compliance creates predictable patterns that hackers can study and eventually bypass. Some advocates point to instances where heavily secured systems have been breached, as evidence that traditional security measures may be fundamentally flawed. The theory proposes that a completely randomized or chaotic approach to security might be more effective in deterring sophisticated cyber attacks. Proponents sometimes cite the concept of security through obscurity as a precursor to null compliance security, taking it to an extreme level. Some versions of this theory suggest implementing deliberately contradictory or nonsensical security measures to confuse potential attackers. Number stations are mysterious shortwave radio broadcasts that have been detected since World War I. These stations transmit sequences of numbers or letters, often in synthesized voices or Morse code. Many believe number stations are used by intelligence agencies to communicate with covert operatives in the field. The broadcasts typically follow specific patterns and schedules, suggesting an organized system. Some number stations have been traced to military installations, lending credence to their espionage purpose. The use of one-time pad encryption would make these transmissions virtually unbreakable, even if intercepted. Certain number stations, like the famous Lincolnshire Poacher, have operated for decades without interruption. Amateur radio enthusiasts have documented hundreds of different number stations worldwide. The continued existence of these broadcasts in the digital age implies they still serve a vital function in modern espionage. Numerology is the belief that numbers have inherent mystical or spiritual significance and can reveal hidden truths about people and the universe. This ancient practice assigns numerical values to letters, names, and birth dates to derive meaningful insights. Proponents argue that recurring number patterns in one's life, such as frequently seeing 1111 on clocks, are not mere coincidences, but messages from the universe. The Pythagoreans, an influential group of ancient Greek philosophers and mathematicians, held numbers as the fundamental elements of reality. Some numerologists claim that certain numbers, like 7 or 3, appear with unusual frequency in nature, religious texts, and human culture, suggesting deeper cosmic importance. Historical figures like Nostradamus and Galileo reportedly used numerological concepts in their work, lending credence to its potential validity. Modern numerology often incorporates elements from various spiritual traditions, including Kabbalah, tarot, and astrology. Advocates point to the precise mathematical nature of the universe, from the golden ratio to the Fibonacci sequence, as evidence of an underlying numerical order. Some scientists and mathematicians have noted intriguing numerical patterns in nature, such as the prevalence of Benford's law in many real-world datasets. Numerology's enduring popularity across cultures and centuries suggests it may tap into a fundamental human tendency to seek meaning in patterns and numbers. Oak Island treasure refers to a legendary buried fortune supposedly hidden on Oak Island in Nova Scotia, Canada. For over 2 centuries, numerous expeditions have attempted to uncover this elusive wealth, believed by some to include pirate gold, religious artifacts, or even lost manuscripts. The island features a mysterious money pit, a shaft discovered in 1795 that seems to be booby-trapped with flood tunnels and complex engineering. Several intriguing artifacts have been found on the island, including a stone tablet with mysterious inscriptions and traces of coconut fibers, which are not native to the area. Historical figures like Franklin D. Roosevelt and John Wayne have been involved in or fascinated by the Oak Island mystery. Some theories link the treasure to the Knights Templar, suggesting they may have hidden their vast wealth and religious relics on the island. Advanced technologies like ground-penetrating radar have detected anomalies underground, suggesting the presence of man-made structures or chambers. The island's geography appears to have been artificially altered, with some experts noting possible ancient stone structures and modified landscapes. Several respected historians and archaeologists have lent credibility to the idea that something of significance is buried on Oak Island. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. The left link takes you to more clips like this. The right link takes you to the full episodes these are from. Thanks for watching.